Hey everyone, it's Dr. Mel here, and I have an exciting opportunity for you. I'm looking for 2 interns who would love to share your expertise in exchange for a scholarship to my Entrepreneur Academy. So if you've ever thought about starting your own educational consultancy, but you're just not quite sure exactly what you would do, I can help you with that. That's what you're going to learn in my Entrepreneur Academy. I'll help you figure out exactly where your interests, your purpose, your passions, your skills, all of your experiences, all of your expertise, where those align to be the perfect educational consultancy for you. So if you have some mad skills in social media marketing or email marketing or anything at all that you could help me in my business, then hit me up. I'm doing much of the work myself at this moment, and I could really use the help. And I know that there are some really creative educators out there who would love to exchange your services in order to learn how to start your own educational consultancy. I'm going to drop a link in the show notes. All you have to do is click on it, give me your name and email, and I will reach out to you with more information. Cheryl Wells Collins is an experienced educator and leader with over 40 years of service in under-resourced communities. She began her teaching career under Marva Collins at Westside Preparatory School, eventually moving into administrative roles. Cheryl's been recognized as the ELCA Principal of the Year and a National Distinguished Principal. As the CEO of a nonprofit, she leads programs that provide quality and affordable education to Chicago's most vulnerable children. Cheryl is passionate about leadership development, believing that the best leaders emerge from within by focusing on personal growth first. She lives in Oak Park with her husband of 37 years, Eric, and is the proud mother of 2 successful adult children. Cheryl also offers coaching services for those dedicated to becoming impactful leaders from the inside out. During our conversation, Cheryl and I hit on things like Cheryl's journey from being an educator to a coach and consultant. We talked about the significance of transformation in personal and professional growth. We talked about how to embrace new opportunities to develop leadership skills and the evolving nature of purpose and passion over time. It was a great conversation, and we got to talking so much in depth that we lost track of time. So I've actually split her interview into 2 episodes. So this is part 1 today. And I have part 2 already edited and uploaded and ready to publish next Friday. Hi friend, are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mel Vandevort, and today I have with me Cheryl Collins. Cheryl's coming to us from Chicago, and we talked about it. I think I've been to Chicago once, but I didn't really get to visit Chicago. I just was there for something, and then we left, and I didn't get to explore. So she told me I needed to come back and do a little bit of exploration, and it's really not that far from St. Louis, so I may do that in the very near future. I hope so. Welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Mel.
Well, I am super excited to have you here. I was looking at what you wanted to speak on today, and it was really exciting to me, and I think it will be really valuable to my listeners. So tell us just a little bit about yourself. Give us the elevator pitch on who Cheryl Collins is.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I am first and foremost an educator always. I have been in education for over 40 years as a teacher, as an administrator, now sort of in a superintendent role. And I am transforming myself into a coach and consultant. Just finished some coaching training with ICF. And I'm really excited to begin that journey because I just know the impact it can have when you are being coached into your best self.
Is your coaching and consulting going to be educational based or is it based on something else?
Hopefully, it will be for educators who are seeking to transform themselves, moving from one area of expertise to another, or even from the classroom to an administrative position. It can also be for anyone. It could be for someone who's wanting to retire and trying to figure out what they're going to do next. It could certainly be for students graduating and unsure of their future. I really hope to do a variety of different types of coaching, life coaching experiences for people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us something fun or something that no one knows about Cheryl Collins.
Well, let's see. Your audience doesn't know me at all, so I really love to dance. I'll say that. But the another fun fact is that I'm writing a book, and the book is going to be about leadership from a Black woman's perspective. I think often women in leadership are the lone ranger sometimes in the room in a field of very crowded men. And I think also women of color are also by themselves and feel isolated. So I'm providing some tips, some experiences, some fun stories about what it's been like to be a leader from my world and my perspective.
Wonderful. That's exciting. And I agree with you. I was thinking about that the other day. I know here in the St. Louis area, there are more Black women in administrative or leadership positions, but they may really feel isolated. Even though they're in that position, they may not
Yes,
be able, they don't feel like they're part of the boys, and I'm doing air quotes, the boys group, the good old boys group. And so that is a great place for you to work from.
I agree. I agree. You assume, even if you see others, you don't often see them in your day to day work. And I know that's true for me. I've spent so many years being the only person of color, often in a lot of meetings. So, and I'm in Chicago, but the network that I work in is small private schools. And so it's very different there. Anytime you can understand that you're not alone, anytime you can rely on information to help you navigate that world, you're going to do far better than if you're coming into the sense of, oh man, I'm isolated, I'm by myself.
Yes, I agree. Definitely. Let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. We're going to be talking about transforming from a teacher to a leader and what that looks like. I'm just going to give you the floor and let you get started on that.
Certainly. I believe that transforming is a very important word. I use that word a lot. Of course, our youngsters grow up with the movie Transformers in their mind. So they're always thinking about these robots. But I think about it a lot too. I think about the fact that you can shift. And the shift begins first off with a person seeing themselves in that role. So for example, if you are now a first grade teacher and you're in your first year of being a first grade teacher and you desire to become a fifth grade teacher. Okay, that's transforming. Maybe you've been teaching for 10 years, but you have this desire to become a principal. That is transforming. And maybe you are an administrator, but you desire to do something totally different. That's transforming. Transformation has to begin with you seeing that. You see yourself doing whatever it is you want to do. You're creating this vision for yourself. You may also not even know what you want to do, but you feel called, you feel a pull, you feel this desire kind of inside of you. And so then you need to take some time to really sit down and figure out, what is it that I'm being called to do? What is it that life or God or the universe is calling me to do? And you get clear on it only by getting still, taking time, meditating, thinking about it, praying on it, and that's how you transform. So in the classroom, if you're a teacher, I would say you really want to start by saying yes to any opportunity that you're called upon to bring change to the school you're in or the district you're working in. Say yes. For example, I had an opportunity when I was a teacher to help start a parent education component at my school. And I think I'd only been teaching for about 4 years or 5 years when called upon to do this. And I wasn't a parent yet. But I said yes anyway, because I worked with parents and I wanted to be a parent. And that was my first step into seeing myself as doing something other than just teaching in the day to day with my students. That was amazing. I enjoyed it tremendously. I saw the importance of helping parents do their very best at home, and it would pay off in the classroom. And so saying yes to any opportunity that's brought to you helps you to transform. It helps you to learn and grow too. It helps you to see, hey, I can do this. I can learn new skills and I can apply them and help others. So
Mm-hmm.
transforming starts there. From there, I was asked to help to work with my mother-in-law to do sort of around the world, but really we did around the States, United States, all sorts of workshops for teachers. Well, I had never presented before, but I said yes to that and started to present to rooms of 20 to 100 teachers. Good methodology, good instruction, how to teach phonics. So all of that was part of my transformation. I kept saying yes. I think every teacher needs to say yes. I think every teacher will find that when they begin to try new things, they sort of are transforming themselves overnight into becoming that leader,
Mm-hmm.
educational leader. And we need more people like that in the world of education.
Yeah, I'm going to back up. I've been taking notes. You might have noticed that. When you said they don't really know what they want to do, but they feel like there's something more that they can do. That's one of the things that I also help people who are in education. They're ready to do something different, but they don't know what that's going to look like. That is one of the things that I help them figure out as well. What does that look like for you? You've got all of these skills, you've got all of these experiences, you've built a lifetime of collecting tools for your toolbox. But what do you do with that? How do you know what's right for you? So I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of work, mindset work, figuring out, I call it your zone of potential. So a
I
lot of
love
people call
that.
it your zone of genius, but really we need to start with your zone of potential. What is it that you potentially can do with
Right.
everything that you've collected over your lifetime? And so
Yeah,
that's a lot of the work that I do.
that's
And
critical.
I'm a faith-based podcast, so it's all about what God wants you to do. And
Yeah.
I believe that God puts you in those positions where you have the opportunity to say yes. God already knew you were going to be a leader back a long time ago. He put you in education for a specific reason. Now, whether that's a lifetime of service from the classroom, which is completely fine and commendable for anyone who wants to stay there, don't feel like you are not at your best or putting out as much as you can, because you are. It's a hard job to be in the classroom forever, but some people do desire to move into something a little bit different and make a bigger impact, or they have that natural leadership tendency and it
Hmm.
just needs to be cultivated. And cultivating that looks like saying yes to those things that can build those skills and build those experiences and give you confidence.
Absolutely, Dr. Mel. And I know that you are a faith-based podcast. I love it. I've listened to many of your shows, and
Well, thank
and
you.
I say so. The word that I work upon a lot is purpose. We all
Yep.
have a reason for being here,
Yes.
and God put us here to discover that. Like he didn't tell us. We have to figure it out on our own. Like, what is our purpose? What's our passion? What's our reason for being here? But passion helps you know that. I
Uh-huh.
can say, I want to, when I was in the classroom many years ago, I just couldn't grade one more paper. It got to the point where when I would take those papers home each night, I actually, you know, thought about throwing them away. It
I
just got
know.
to the point where it's like,
I know.
will they notice even? Will the children notice? Will the
Well, for
parents
me,
notice?
it was parties and field trips. I'm like, I can't sit on a bus any longer. And I Have no desire to party anymore.
Right. And, and I just contemplated, prayed, meditated, like what's next for me? Because I love teaching, but there are things about it that I just don't love anymore. And I think when you recognize that, that's when you know it's time to really get serious about what's next for me. And I do believe that our purpose changes and it changes over time. The purpose that we have in our 20s is not the purpose we have in our 50s or 60s. And so we have to ebb and flow with life. I think we're born to do that. When you talk about, teachers who, um, they've been in the classroom their entire career, I think that's very noble. But I also bet you those people who've been in the classroom for their entire career, they've changed too. And if they haven't, they should, because
Exactly.
life changes, the
Mm-hmm.
world changes. And it's like teaching, from the same lesson plan for 20 years. It's just not going to work anymore
Exactly.
because
Right.
you are outdated. And then as a result, you're not providing value. And that's very important to provide value. To not just the children in front of you, but to the school district you're in or the school you're working in and to the world.
And relevancy. Whatever you were
Yes.
teaching 20 years ago is probably
It's
not
no longer relevant.
relevant to today's society and to the kids we are bringing through the school system today.
That's so true. That's so true. So that transforming and that moving and that ability to be a leader in the classroom, it's also critical too, because now I know I'm in charge of some of the hiring in my school. And so um, the folks who are coming in, they need mentorship, they need coaching, they've learned skills, but there's nothing like on the ground training. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're often asking our veteran teachers to step up and coach and mentor the new teachers. That's leadership right there. When you
Exactly.
are asked to take a new teacher under your wing and work with them, that's leadership. Even the new teachers, hey, would you mind helping with the track team, or the basketball team, So we have a very small school, as you can probably tell. So lots of people doing lots of things, but all of those things help you to grow. They help you to see your skills, your potentials, and all of those things add up over time so that when you reach that point where you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, that's when you can begin to create this list. So there's a great book I would highly recommend, The EOS Life. It's based on a series of books, but it is how to find your ideal entrepreneurial life. So those who are looking to start a business. But one of the activities they have you do is they have you make a list of everything you do now and everything you're good at now.
Mm-hmm.
And they challenge you to come up with 50 things. And you might think you can't, but you'll be surprised. Like you'll come up with 50 things pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things help you find your skill set, your potential, your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
your reason for being here on this earth. And then you can take those things and transform them into your next career if you're choosing to change careers.
Exactly. And sometimes it is hard to think, what can I do? You have like 3 or 4 or 5 things that you think you can do, but when you really get to digging in, you're right. You have way more than you ever thought you did. And so for my coaching, I do a skills assessment for them, hard and soft skills assessment, because you have both sets of skills. And
Yes,
sometimes you just don't realize all of the skills that you do have and that
that's
you've
so true.
collected and grown over the years.
Yeah, and talk about those soft skills for a minute because people tend to downplay those. They should not downplay those. We need those soft skills in today's workforce. Oftentimes, people don't fail at their job because they don't have the skill. They fail at their job because they don't have the soft skill. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to listen to people. They don't know how to
Mhm.
communicate effectively.
Yes.
They don't know how to read someone's body language. They they themselves aren't aware of the body language they're giving off in a meeting or in a conference with a parent, even. And those soft skills are critical to surviving in today's workplace and also surviving just as a person. The angst and anger and the aggression and many of the things that we're seeing in our world, particularly in our country, boy, if we had been able to teach SEL throughout the years, and if we can teach it even better now and really teach people the importance and the value of those soft skills, we're going to see a better workforce and really just a better way of living for all of us as citizens of the world, I think.
Right. And it is being self-aware of your skills, your soft skills, and really thinking about what that looks like from you. And I had to do that as a leader too, because even like you said, my body language sometimes I will, because I have to really think and listen and process when you're talking to me, it sometimes appears that I'm disengaged. I'm not. I just have to go to this place where I can process everything you're saying to me. And so for me, my body language says, oh, she's not even listening. When I completely am listening, I just look like I'm not. And so I've had to become very aware of that
Yes,
because I can
yes.
hear you. I'm hearing everything you're saying. I'm just in another place listening and thinking through it. So it looks different for me. And so you
Right.
have to be very aware of that. So making eye contact, even occasionally, even if you can't look at them the entire time, you need to look at them occasionally and nod your head and let them know verbally that you are hearing what they're saying.
Right. And that's so important for leaders. I can't stress that enough, to work on yourself. One of the things that I know that I have done very well is work on myself.
Yes.
And certainly when I was a beginning principal, there's such a difference between the way I was, the way I interacted with people, and how I am now as the executive, or the top executive of the organization. The uh, the importance of self-examination, that's part of leadership. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're a classroom leader, or whether you're a school leader, or whether you're on your own business, that ability to really work on yourself and to be vulnerable and to be able to say, all right, I messed up, and that whole that whole conversation was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was triggered, I got caught in the moment, I whatever, and then being able to go back and say, I'm sorry, I handled that poorly. And I
Mm-hmm.
do that often. I think that's a good trait and a good sign of a good leader, is to be able to say, I'm sorry, I did not handle that well. Can we have a do over? Can we start over? Can we do the whole conversation over? That's part of the thing that I've learned about coaching too. The whole idea of coaching is critical, I think, for any leader. To have a coach, you are face to face with you, because that's what coaching does. It just
Mm-hmm.
brings you face to face with yourself. It helps you to look at what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at. How do I come across? How could I come across better? What are the challenges I'm facing? Having maybe a difficult conversation with an employee or with a colleague,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I come about that differently? Because I want to be effective. And that's one reason I, left teaching in the classroom altogether too. I just wanted to make a bigger impact in the world. And I think leaders
Yes.
have that ability to be so effective. If they are effective, they can be so effective in the impact that they have in doing good work for so many people through their own self growth and their own self work.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the self examination, even if you do something that is good, like it works out well, you still need to go back and reflect. Okay, so what did I do? Is there anything I would have changed because it wasn't working? Even though the outcome was good, is there something different I could have done? And what did I do right so I can replicate that going forward? Whether
Absolutely.
that's great communication, transparency, inviting other people to be part of it. Look and see what you did. Be very reflective, self reflective about what you did correctly,
You're
as well
absolutely
as
right.
what you could have done more effectively.
Absolutely right. We're often very critical on ourselves, and especially
Hmm.
leaders. And I think it's a tendency for female leaders. Like we're very critical on ourselves and very critical of ourselves. So we forget to celebrate the good moments, and
Yes,
celebration is
we
so
do.
important. And we forget to document, like, this went well because,
Hmm.
but you're absolutely right. That is part of a good practice too, is to make sure you're aware of all the things that work, so you can replicate them and you can tell people about them and you can teach those things to others too.
And if there's a skill that you really are not great at and you need to grow in, there are so many ways that you can do that. All right, guys, I'm going to stop here for today. And don't forget, part 2 of my interview with Cheryl will drop next Friday. I will see you then. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.